A very good morning to you. Happy Saturday. As you probably gathered, at the moment I'm recording my Saturday thought on Friday because I have to leave early tomorrow morning to go to the hospital to work as chaplain there for the morning. So we're continuing our thoughts about David. We're in 1 Samuel 17, and what happens is that the Philistines have gathered in the valley, and they are challenging the Israelites to send a hero to fight Goliath the giant. And three of David's older brothers are in the army, and his father sends him to find out how it's going and how they are, if they're okay. And of course, you had to go in person. Back in those days, there were no mobile phones. There was no telegraph. There was no communication except by messenger. And David was sent with some food and to find out just what was going on. And he sees the situation. He sees the two hosts of Israel and Philistine. The Philistines gathered, drawn up in lines against each other. And he sees this man coming out saying these challenging words, which are quoted in verse 8. Choose a man for yourself and let him come down to me. If he's able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. That was his challenge. And David has asked all about it. And when he comes, he says to his brothers, he heard what this man was saying, and he said, so why isn't anyone fighting him? I mean, reading between the lines, that's what he says. So why has nobody gone and fought the man? And they look at him like he's mad, his brothers. Can't he see the stature of this man? Can't he see the armour and the equipment this man has got? Can't he see how formidable this man is? Here is this youngster, possibly 18 or 19 years old, who's not trained to fight, and his three brothers who are trained military men, who are much beefier than he is and well equipped. None of them have got up and challenged the Philistine. Nobody would. He was so big. Now here is the thought. Just as David learnt a real lesson when Samuel said, God doesn't look at the outward appearance, he looks at the heart. Samuel had said to the whole family, God has chosen by looking inside. He doesn't look at how things look to make a decision about what's going on and who to choose. And David did the same thing with Goliath. He didn't look at the outward appearance of this man, this challenger. He didn't look and say, my goodness, he's big, he's well equipped, he's enormous, he's well trained in war. He didn't compare himself to this man in terms of stature. What he looked at was the inside. And he said, this uncircumcised Philistine, this man who is not under a covenant with the God of gods, with the Lord, he's helpless. He has no protection. His armour's no good because he's on the wrong side. He's not in a covenant relationship with God. But we are. We are God's people. God's on our side. He's lost already. He saw the inside. And looking at the inside, this Philistine had already lost because God was on the side of the Israelites. So he was a defeated foe before the battle was even joined. And David saw it as God had seen with him. He looked on the inside. He didn't look at the outward appearance. He didn't look at the situation as it looked. And this is a real lesson to us. Very often we find ourselves intimidated by a situation or by something that is happening to us and thinking that it's got out of control. This thing is too big. How can we possibly manage this? How can this possibly be sorted? And the answer is not to look at the outward appearance. The outward appearance may be enormous. There's no way, humanly speaking, that this could be done or achieved. But don't look at the outward appearance. God is looking at the heart. And if you are pursuing God's purposes and you are acting for God, the victory is yours before you even start. So don't be intimidated. And his brothers were horrified. They said, you're only a boy. How can you speak to us like that? But they were still looking at the outward appearance. How is it possible that God can give us the victory in this situation? But when you look through the scriptures, when you read through the scriptures, how many times did God give victory to the most unlikely people over the most horrific odds? You think about the city of Jericho, Joshua, and the people of Israel. If they'd have gone against Jericho in the natural way, that is, assaulting the very reinforced wide walls, which reputedly were wide enough for a chariot race to be conducted over the top of them. That's how wide they were. There was no way the children of Israel could ever have defeated the seasoned soldiers in Jericho. But God gave them a completely different strategy. God didn't even tell them to assault the city. He just told them to march round it once every day for 7 days, and not even shout and not even be like a football crowd and shout and make a lot of noise and be intimidating. No, just march round. Just show them who you are. And then do it 7 times on the last day. And then when I tell you to shout, you shout. And the walls fell. We have to not look on the outward appearance. David did not look on the outward appearance of Goliath. He saw this man as a helpless person in the face of someone with whom God was on his side. We have to see things a different way. See things from God's point of view and not from the human point of view. We saw this when we were doing Corinthians. We no longer look at anyone from a human point of view, because having God in our lives changes our viewpoint completely. That's a great thought for the day, isn't it? I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, when it'll be Sunday again for us to worship God and bless him for his great goodness to us and for his amazing ability to give us the victory when it seems completely humanly impossible that the victory could ever be ours. We serve a great God. Hallelujah. Be very blessed today, and I'll see you tomorrow.